The Reserve Bank has a mandate to achieve and maintain price stability in the interest of balanced and sustainable economic growth in South Africa. For more on this, I'm joined in studio by Cruickshanks from the Institute of Race Relations. Thanks so much for your time on SABC
to be with
News.
You. Thank you.
Reserve Bank Governor Lesetja Kganyago has defended inflation targeting. Some people have said that we need to look at widening the mandate of the Reserve Bank. What are your thoughts on this?
I think that we should be considering narrowing that. And in fact, I've actually brought that subject up with the governor to say, why don't we actually have a specific number and aim at the middle of the target range, that is 4.5%. It's not impossible. We got down to 4.4 recently, so it is achievable. By doing that, we are then going to attract a cheaper fund of flows. We will pay less for the interest on our international funding. And this will, of course, help to bring all borrowing costs down. And it will ripple through to business and to consumers. That's what we want. So my answer is definitely no. I think we should have a specific lower target.
What environment would need to be there for that lower target to be set and achieved?
We'd have to be seen, to be judged, to be in a positive growth scenario, in a positive growth cycle. We'd have to be seen to running a clean government where what was promised, what was delivered. And I think that, we're not doing too well on some of these functions at the moment.
Okay, so we saw the MPC keeping interest rates unchanged when they made the announcement last week. What do you think that this has done when it comes to, the achievement of price stability, setting an inflation target by the Reserve Bank?
Well, it was very interesting. Just to digress marginally, did you see that the voting was four votes in favor of leaving them unchanged and 3 votes in favor of raising? That points to the fact that the next decision is likely to be a higher rate. And I think that is fine, because we have got to protect our capital flows. We've got to stop money flowing out. Do you know that from the JSE so far this year, there's been outflow of foreign investors of 75 billion rand. How are we going to replace that? With great difficulty and only at higher rates. We've got to prove stability in managing the economy, in living within our means, on spending less than we earn or not overspending. If we follow this sort of cycle, we then have a chance of bringing down the whole cost of funding, the cost of borrowing, the cost of down to basics to funding a mortgage or a car loan. And that way will stimulate the economy. It's not a quick process, and it's not an easy one.
Okay, now the Reserve Bank can use any instruments of monetary policy at its disposal to achieve its monetary policy goal. Which ones do you think they can use or should be using more?
I think that they should consider using more on the interest rate cycle. I think that we should have considered, to a stronger degree at this recent meeting, a hike in rates. I think then we may then, if we'd offered higher rates, maybe then has stemmed some of the outflow. Are we surprised there's an outflow of funding? We shouldn't be. After all, our base rate is 6.5%. Would you rather have South Africa at 6.5% or Russia with all its oil at 7.5%? Now there's an indication of what we're up against. So I think that yes, we should consider a change, but it should be higher rather than lower. That will get the economy completely under control, which is where we need to be.
Okay, last week we saw a press release being issued by the ANC and then quickly withdrawn, which said that the Reserve Bank needs to take cognizance of the situation that South Africans are in. Was there any validity in that press release which was retracted? Was there anything in that should be considered by the Reserve Bank, or was that interfering and trying to encroach on the independence of the Reserve Bank?
You've just summed it up. Encroaching on Reserve Bank's prerogative. And I think the fact that the spokesperson was pushed down right away and pushed out of sight, that says the party actually realizes, or those in the power base know, that they should not be seen to interfere in the mandate of the Reserve Bank, because that will once again affect foreign flows and the cost of funding South Africa and the risk of our global credit rating.
Speaking of global credit rating and factors, South Africa is one of the emerging markets that's been a little bit battered by global factors. And when we're having these discussions, people often speak about countries like Turkey or Argentina. Do we need to be looking further out for other countries that may be in similar situations like ours? A suggestion's been New Zealand. They're also struggling with growth. They're struggling with confidence from the business sector. And there is a suggestion that there's a lot of similarities there that we could look to and learn from.
We must look at those countries that are, first of all, living within their means, that are spending no more than their revenue. That way you get a move towards stability. If we look at those countries which are also, as we are, spending more than our revenue, we're looking at the wrong examples. And I think that, yes, there are some of them. We should pay attention to them, but it's just stick to the basic rules, and that is live within your means. Cut your coat according to your cloth. It's a good saying.
Thanks so much for your time, Ian Cruickshanks from the Institute of Relations, joining us there on the Reserve Bank and Monetary Policy Committees.